Good afternoon and welcome back. You're watching World News and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwińska. The fight for Ukraine continues, this time in Africa. No agreement or peace terms can favor the aggressor, said Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, as leaders of the European Union and the African Union member states meet in Angola for the 7th EU-AU summit. Our Africa correspondent Sofia Ba reports from the Angolan capital of Luanda.
As you can see behind me, the African Union and the European Union 7th summit has just begun here in Luanda, Angola. The economic, political and social ties between the two continents will definitely be discussed, but the situation in Ukraine remains the main topic. Just before the summit this morning, European leaders did take part in an informal meeting regarding the peace process in Ukraine and latest developments. Among the EU leaders, Prime Minister Donald Tusk has had exchanges with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, as well as President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. After meeting this morning with European leaders, here in Luanda, Angola, he does confirm that the European Union stays united for the fight for peace in Ukraine. I asked the Prime Minister Donald Tusk about the outcome of today's meeting with EU leaders in Angola. What's the message after today's meeting that you want to send to the world about the peace? Are we closer to getting peace in Ukraine?
I am not sure if we are closer to the peace, because it's not only if it was just our will and our intention, it would be done. But unfortunately, the decision is in the hands of Putin, President Trump, of course, President Zelensky, not only or not mainly in our European hands. One thing is absolutely clear today: Europe is united.
Prime Minister Donald Tusk also emphasizes that there is no room for optimism at this moment and reminds us that some of the 28 points leaked by media outlets last week are not acceptable in his perspective. For example, the one stipulating that NATO fighter jets may be stationed in Poland. He insists that no decision regarding Poland's military situation can be made without Poland's approval, just like, according to him, absolutely no condition can favor the aggressor. Donald Tusk says determined to settle the issue of frozen assets by the end of the year. Sofia Ba, Luanda, TVP World.
It's a threat for all of us, said German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, referring to security issues the war in Ukraine creates for the European continent. He added that despite the negotiations in Geneva, the US-led 28-point peace plan is unlikely to be implemented before the November 27 deadline proposed by US President Donald Trump.
I had a call with President Trump before I left the country. I told him that we could agree on some of them, but there are others we could not agree. And I told him that we are fully in line with Ukraine, that the sovereignty of this country must not be jeopardized. Insofar, we are in the midst of very severe negotiations, which are taking place actually in Geneva. Our NSAs are there, and talking with the American delegation, with the delegation from Ukraine. And we do not know what the outcome of these talks could be. At the very end of the day, the sovereignty of Ukraine may not be questioned. We are suffering almost 4 years now from this terrible war in Ukraine. It's a threat for all of us. We are seeing severe attacks on our infrastructure. We are seeing severe attacks on our cybersecurity. So this is a deep threat for the entire political order of the European continent, and that's the reason why we are so engaged, and that's the reason why we are trying to bring this terrible war to an end.
Poland and the Czech Republic say they now lead the European Union in breaking free from Russian gas. After talks in Prague, Poland's President Karol Nawrocki stressed that both countries view Moscow as Europe's biggest security threat. Speaking alongside Czech President Karol Nawrocki said recent discussions with U.S. and Central European partners confirmed the shift away from Russian gas, already completed by Warsaw and Prague, will likely extend across Europe with American and Polish support. He added that Poland has offered to become a regional LNG hub in the coming years. Nawrocki pointed to formats like the Visegrad Group and the Three Seas Initiative, saying they carry strong economic potential, with the region's GDP expected to rise by 35% by 2030. The two leaders also discussed the need to boost defense spending and underscored their aligned approach towards supporting Ukraine at the European level. Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski on Monday summoned the Israeli ambassador to Poland to provide an explanation regarding an incident involving Yad Vashem's recent post. Israel's Holocaust Memorial Center is facing backlash from top Polish officials after a social media post described discriminatory laws against Jews as having been introduced in Poland without noting the country was under German occupation at the time.
The controversy erupted after Yad Vashem posted the following message on X, marking November 23, 1939. Poland was the first country where Jews were forced to wear a distinctive badge in order to isolate them from the surrounding population. The post prompted swift condemnation from across Poland's political spectrum. Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski urged the center to specify that it was German-occupied Poland, while lawmakers from left to right called the wording outrageous and misleading. They argue the phrasing implies Polish responsibility for German Nazi policies. Jews were ordered to wear the badge by the German governor of occupied Poland. The Auschwitz-Birkenau Museum also weighed in, saying that if any institution should be precise about historical facts, it's Yad Vashem, stressing that Poland was fully under German occupation when the anti-Jewish law was enforced. Yad Vashem later issued a clarification, saying the discriminatory badge was imposed by order of the German authorities. But Polish officials, including Sikorski, insisted the original post should be deleted and corrected.
Lithuania is considering a fresh border shutdown with Belarus after a wave of contraband-filled balloons forced Vilnius airport to close twice in one day. Prime Minister Inga Ruginiene warned that the latest aerial incursion, the most intense this month, shows the hybrid pressure is escalating, and said ministers will now consider reinstating restrictions that were only lifted last week.
The contraband balloons are flying and will probably continue to. The closure of the border demonstrated one thing, that we were right in our evaluation that this had been a hybrid attack. And from the Belarusian side, there are also illegal measures to hold our truck drivers and not open the border from their side. We see that the hybrid attack is expanding geographically, and tonight we saw that the balloons crossed over the Latvian border. It means that this is no longer a Lithuanian problem, but a problem of a wider region.
The cargo division of Lithuanian Railways has stopped ferrying crude for the Russian oil company Lukoil, destined for Russia's Kaliningrad enclave in the Baltic Sea.
Another day and another wage sanctions are hitting the Russians. Lithuanian Railways, known as LTG, just announced they would no longer ship crude for Lukoil, a sanctioned Russian oil major, or any of its affiliates.
Sanctions are a tool used by the international community to weaken countries that have started wars and to ensure security and justice. Compliance with the sanctions recommended by the US and the UK is a consistent step that contributes to business risk control and resilience, and it also reflects the value proposition of the entire group.
LTG has been shipping Lukoil's crude to the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad, whose only rail connection with Russia proper runs through Lithuania. Last year, Lithuanian Railways ferried 345,000 tons of Lukoil's crude. This year, it was 194,000 tons. In theory, Kaliningrad can be supplied with crude by sea, but this isn't the end of Moscow's concerns. December marks the end of a 10-year transit contract Lithuania has with Russia for supplying the enclave with natural gas. Kaliningrad relies on the fuel for electricity production. The gas can be shipped to a floating terminal operated by Gazprom, but this is a more costly option.
And so this would be all the latest news for now. Thank you for joining me. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska, but don't go anywhere because we have news in depth with Anna Karczyńska and Adam Jaser coming up next.